Well, cattle were important during the Civil War because they were the main source of meat aside from hogs, and the main source of protein for the soldiers. The cow cavalry was a unit that was established here in Florida towards the end of the war to help, one, protect the cattle that were in Florida and provide a method for gathering that cattle and having them shipped north to the Southern armies at the battlefronts. And cattle was always important in Florida, and Florida's contribution of cattle was always important to the war effort. But when the war in the West really ended with Union victory, you couldn't get cattle from Tennessee or from Texas. It had to come from Florida. James McKay, the blockade runner, was also a cattle rancher, and he and the commissary agent for Florida really devised this cow cavalry. Florida cattle originally came from Spain. Cattle aren't native to the New World, but in 1521, with Ponce de Leon's second exploration of Florida, he brought a number of cattle. And every exploration after that was sponsored by Spain. You were required to bring a certain amount of cattle. And so when Narvaez came, when De Soto came, and then of course when St. Augustine was established in 1565, at that point, more and more cattle kept being brought to the area. And a lot of times they were just kind of let loose and they would just go and fend for themselves. Cattle drives were very widespread across Florida. And what they would do is you'd have a few cattlemen together, and they'd go out into the interior or they'd go out into the brush wherever they know there are cattle. And they have whips rather than lassos. We think of cowboys today having lassos and having big horses, but then they didn't. The horses were smaller because again these were descendants of these Spanish horses too, and so they used the sound of the whip to pop literally these cows out of the brush and get them moving in the same direction. By the end of the war, there were over 50,000 head of cattle that Florida supplied to the Confederate war effort, and so it's certainly not an insignificant amount of beef that came out of Florida.